Good afternoon. The Council on Aging is now in session. Would you all please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Francine, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Borghi.
Here.
Commissioner Dukoski. Commissioner
Here.
Commissioner Kam. Here. Commissioner Norkin.
Here.
Commissioner Poprock. Absent. Commissioner Shentes. Here. Commissioner Searden. Here. Commissioner Silverberg.
Here.
Commissioner Steiner.
Here.
Thank you.
Before public comment, I'd like to make a few comments. Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Thousand Oaks Council on Aging's second broadcast of the new season. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast last month that featured Maria Prescott, Director of Hospice of the Caneo, as she told you all about the good work that hospice does in the community. Hospice is also putting on a Las Vegas night called Las Vegas Cool at the Moore Park Country Club on October 7 between 5 and 9 p.m. For further information and for advance tickets, please call the hospice at 805-495-2145. Also on our broadcast was Senior Deputy Larry Logan of the Thousand Oaks Police Department, who was assigned to crimes involving fraud. Deputy Logan said that fraud against the elderly is proliferating so rapidly it's just about impossible to keep up with the latest frauds. Instead, Deputy Logan cautioned each of us needs to learn to protect ourselves against these schemers. How can you win a lottery when you had never entered? He went on to say there are only two rules you need to remember in protecting yourself against fraud. The first one is, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The second one is to remember the first. Today's program will be presented by Martin Kaplan, Director of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Cal State Channel Islands. He should remind us that we are never too old to learn something new. Jim Searden will tell us about the future program this council will air. We sincerely hope you will be watching. And now we'll introduce Betty Berry as a speaker or a comment. Betty, please. Is the microphone turned on, Betty?
Got a green light on it.
Okay, good.
Does that mean it's on? Hi. I haven't been here for a while, and I thought maybe you missed me. Well, I came back today because Senior Concerns is now ready to start its 5 series presentations that we give every year. And I thought maybe you'd be interested and your audience in Thousand Oaks. It's going to start this coming Tuesday. And the overall theme of the presentations this year is the time to talk is now. We're talking about communication and what we need to do with each other, with our parents, with our friends, and so on. The first one is going to be on Tuesday, October 9th. It's going to be caring for aging loved ones. If you remember last year, I came and gave you a packet that I made that I took out to employers. We're also going to do it for the public in addition to employers. So I will be doing that one on October 9th. On November 13th, we're going to have a gentleman come in and talk to us about reverse mortgages. Are they good for everybody? Are they good for anybody? What do they do? The do's and don'ts if you're considering it. Then we're going to go dark in December and January because nobody wants to do anything in December and January. So we're going to come back on February 12th and we're going to talk about taking the guesswork out of long-term care planning. We're going to have someone come in and talk about long-term care insurance. As seniors, it's probably not the best investment for us now because it's too expensive as we get older. But you need to talk to your children and your neighbors who are younger. Long-term care insurance is certainly something that needs to be considered by the next generation. Then in March, we're going to have written wishes, which is going to have to do with advanced directives and go into detail about why you should and why you shouldn't and what happens if you don't. And then on April 8th, we're going to finish with final wishes, We're going to talk about pre-planning final wishes, why planners plan and why non-planners get in trouble. Making decisions at the very last minute is not exactly good. On the one that I'm going to do in October next week, Caring for Aging Loved Ones, we're going to talk about the importance of communications between grown children and their parents or loved ones. Then I'm going to hit on understanding the four federal and state programs that everybody needs to know about: Medicare, Medi-Cal, Social Security, and SSI, how they work together and they don't work together. Then who are the caregivers in the United States? How does caregiving happen? And why caregivers need to ask for help. So I've handed out to you, or Francine has, a copy of that. In addition, we just put out our first newsletter in months, and I thought you'd like a copy of that. And then I see we only have one lady on the council, but you gentlemen have wives. This is our bargain boutique. Your wives may be interested because there's a 15% discount enclosed. Okay? Any questions about the series?
No, but I'd like to make a correction. There are 2 women on our council this
There's
year.
only one here.
Oh, well, one here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the other one wasn't here.
Okay, well, she can take it home and she can do her shopping too. Yes, Mel.
You're aware that we've been starting to work on our outreach program and advisory committees and so forth. And with your permission, we would like to, as we go about on our venues and so forth, announce
Certainly.
these programs as they come up.
If I have the information, and I need it about 3 weeks ahead, but if I have the information, you will be in the column.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. That's good.
But I need about a 3-week space to make my deadlines
For
for the paper.
for the brochure or the newspaper?
For the paper.
For her newsletter.
For the news.
The newsletter is global.
Okay.
I don't do
you
that.
talk about, you talk
meant
about
your
your
column,
column
your
in the
column.
Yes,
newspaper.
the column.
Okay, we will give you
Yeah.
some copy for that. Okay.
You give it
good.
to me, I'll get it in.
3 weeks. Okay.
Now,
Thank
in
you.
addition to the series that is Senior Concern Series, which is called Solving the Aging Problem, I do a senior advocates column that's called a series that's called Senior Issues. I am going to go to Westlake Village on Wednesday, October 10th, and I'm going to take Logan's place. I'm going to do fraud and scams. Okay? And then I'm going to Goebel on Tuesday the 16th, and we're doing Are You Going to Pass Your Next Driving Test? Okay?
I have a question for Betty.
Okay.
We have a senior survey, and we'd like to get it out to as many people as possible. And since you're visiting all these venues, could you be... Thank you.
Give them to me. I'll take anything
Yeah,
you want to
sure.
give me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because
you.
I like to talk.
We'd love to have you, too.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me turn this on. Betty, I've never seen these before. How do these get in people's hands?
Okay, you've never seen them before probably because we fell behind. But they are sent out from Senior Concerns. They are put at places like Goebel and so forth. This is the first one that's come out in over a year and a half.
You say they're sent out. What does that mean? They're mailed?
They're sent to the mailing list from Senior Concerns.
And how do people get on that mailing list?
Oh, we can get you on that mailing list.
Well, I'm not just talking about me. There's
can call-
information in here
They
that I
can
think...
call Senior Concerns at 497-0189 and ask to be put on the mailing list.
That's 497-0189? Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Can I ask a quick one here?
Sure.
As far as that mailing list is concerned, that gets me a little fired up. Is there a possibility that we could include some of our own material in your mailers, in your
I
mailings?
can certainly ask.
That would be
That
good.
only
Yeah.
goes out 3 times a year. I think one of the better ways would be for me to have it to take around where I go.
Oh, have the material. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
Because I'm all over the place.
You are indeed.
Free, no, that's free publicity.
Okay? All right, I'll see you next month.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you. Okay.
Before we introduce our guest speaker, I'll call upon Jim Searden to make his introduction. Jim?
Yeah, thank you, Harry. Our speaker today is Dr. Martin Kaplan. Dr. Kaplan is the director of the Osher Learning Institute at Cal State Channel Islands and has been involved in the community and senior concerns for quite some time. Most recently, he's been appointed to the Executive Advisory Board for the Camarillo Council on Aging, and Martin has been a longtime delegate to the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging. So he knows what he's talking about in the community, and he's got a lot to tell us about keeping your mind sharp. So, Marty, welcome.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you all for inviting me. I believe that most of you know what it is that we do, but I'll just briefly mention it. The Osher Lifelong Learning Institute is located at Cal State University Channel Islands in Camarillo. That's a mouthful right there. And we offer classes 3 times a year for seniors. We don't call them seniors anymore. We call them mature adults over 50. And the class, we are the only such institute in Ventura County. In fact, the closest one is at Cal State Santa Barbara, at University of California, Santa Barbara, that does this. We offer classes solely for people over 50. We don't cram them into regular courses with 19-year-olds whose most important question when it comes to class is this on the test? We have no tests. We have no grades. We don't give college credit. We don't give degrees. All we give is intellectual stimulation. We have courses. These are 8-week courses rather than 16-week courses because people over 50 have other things on their minds, other things to do besides attend classes for 16 straight weeks. The classes are college or university level classes, the sorts of things people always wanted to take when they went to school but couldn't because they were getting a degree or because they had to take things they needed for career and all that. We don't do a darn thing that'll teach anybody about a career. Our people have had them, been there, done that. It's just keeping your mind active. We don't teach skills kind of courses like knitting or learning computers and so on and so forth. Those are available at the community colleges. We teach intellectual type courses. I'll give you some examples in a little bit of the courses we're going to have in the next semester. The courses run for 8 weeks. Each class meets once a week for 2 hours. Most are held on the campus in Camarillo, beautiful campus, very expensive to park at, but we find that people handle parking by parking for free at the Camarillo train station. If anybody for the Metro is listening, I take that back because I don't know if they know that or not. But they park free there, and then there's a shuttle bus that runs every half hour to the campus, and most people do that. We do have classes, though, in 1 day a week in Ventura, and we have class in Simi Valley in the evening, and we have a Saturday class in Thousand Oaks, which I want to talk a little more about. By the way, before I launch into continue on my sales pitch, how much time do I have? 20, 30 minutes, whatever you got. Okay. Well, I'm having dinner at 6, so I'm not coming. I always hesitate when I speak anywhere. I hesitate asking how much time I have because I fear that in the audience there's a doctor who'll say 3 months. So I have to be careful about that. You reach a certain age where you don't want to ask that question. Let's see. So this gives you an idea about courses. We have them evenings. We have them Saturday mornings. We have them in various places in the community. We've had courses before in Oxnard. We've had courses in Ojai. The Thousand Oaks course will be irregular on Saturday mornings because it happens that we have a room to meet in there that doesn't cost anything to rent. It's owned by the university. But before I get back to talk more about what it is we do, and particularly what we're going to be doing this coming winter session, which begins the week of January 7th, I want to sort of editorialize for a second. Since I probably have the time for this anyway, I want to editorialize. And that is, in my couple of years on the Area Agency on Aging Board, and I now have an association with the Camarillo Council on Aging, although I don't live in Camarillo, but I'm on some sort of advisory committee for them. And after looking at various granting, public, private, foundation granting agencies to try to raise money for us, I've come to the conclusion that a very much ignored part of the population in general and the senior population is healthy seniors, mobile seniors, educated seniors. Virtually all money that's available through any agency is aimed at people with problems, with debilities. Most of our time on the Area Agency on Aging is spent on such sort of things, food, health, and so on and so forth. And we tend to ignore people who are essentially mobile, healthy, inquisitive, and so on. I believe we shouldn't, for two reasons. One is that they are our brethren, our senior brethren, and many do have problems that are not very obvious and not treated, so to speak, by agencies. Problems in dealing with life, problems in what do I do now the kids are grown, I'm through with my career. I'm not going to wear funny clothes and play golf. I'm speaking for myself too. I grew up in New York City, and we laughed at people who wore funny clothes and played golf, and I vowed never to do that. Unfortunately, I can't play basketball anymore, which is what we played. So I exercise my mind. These people need this. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me, otherwise healthy people, who have said, "This has saved my life." I say, "Oh, you're exaggerating." And then I go to the national meeting of Osher Institute directors, and everyone tells the same story. It's important. Second reason why it's important is that while people who are healthy now and so on, they're going to need some services in the future. We just heard from Betty about senior concerns, which a lot of what she does deals with people who are essentially healthy. But what do you do when you're not healthy? What do you do about aging, even more aging parents? There's concern, I think, with the Area Agency Aging and also with all the councils, with the upcoming boomer generation. Not because they're not healthy. They've taken good care of themselves. But because they're going to need services in the future. Because when they retire from the very active lifestyle, what are they going to do? Okay. Many of the new residence homes, residence communities that are popular, including the new one right here in Thousand Oaks, are aimed specifically at these people. Okay, and so I'm just asking that I think all councils should take into account that there's more than just the physical or financial health of people, of seniors, that we need to look out for. There's also the mental health, and I don't mean putting people on couches and going into their childhood. I mean keeping that mind going. And as I said, we are the only institution in this county that has courses to do just that, aimed just at seniors. Okay, that's my editorial. Now back to my sales pitch. We have 3 sessions during the year. We're about wrapping up our fall session, which began in the middle of August. That's a good time to start a fall session, get there before everyone else. And that's going to end the first week of October. So it's too late for anyone to take it, but it's the most current catalog I have. And this is our catalog of courses. Just to give you an idea of some of the courses that we've had this fall, which you can't take because it's almost over. We had a course on anthropology of religion, modern music, Debussy and to Charles Ives, British colonialism and its consequences, history of the pop song, classical mythology, nonviolence and social conflict, climate change in the 21st century, something in some people's minds, Shakespeare, the physics of music, ecology, evolution, and diversity, and music after Beethoven. That's what we had this semester. Next semester, I'm actually in the midst of wrapping up the program for next semester, but we're going to have a course on the origins of man, an anthropology course on human origins, a course on language and courtrooms, a course on 20th century American music, Gershwin and so on, a course on Mozart, what else? A course on film noir, a course on the Harlem Renaissance, and then something that is new for us. We're going to have a course taught by the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, a long-distance course by their education director on Impressionism. And that will be through an interactive TV sort of thing. And that'll be on campus. Most of what I mentioned is on campus. We are having an evening course in Simi Valley, and that's at, shall I say, your rival. I don't know what the rivalry is. I don't know, it's like New York and Boston or what, Simi Valley and 1,000 Oaks. But it's at the Senior Center on Wednesday evenings, and it'll be a course on archaeology taught by somebody from Cal State Northridge. So that's something that might interest people here. And in particular, what might interest people here, and I can even, I think, get some testimony from Jim because he took this last spring, we have what we call intellectual buffet or taste of volley. Actually, I like both names. I didn't know which to call it, so I just put a colon between them and use both. And that's going to be in Thousand Oaks, Saturday mornings, beginning I believe it's the 12th is the first Saturday, January 12th, and running up till March 1st. That's going to be at the Extended Education, the Cal State Extended Education Center on Marin, near between Moore Park and Hillcrest, across from the Oaks Mall. Easy to get to. Excuse me. And what that's going to be is, instead of one 8-week course, which all our courses are, it's going to be 8 one-week courses, or 8 one-session courses. That's what we call them, mini courses, or taste the volley. It's a smorgasbord. And I can tell you right now what they're going to be, because I've just wrapped almost all of them up yesterday. We're going to have the first is a wonderful, wonderful course on popular film society. I say it's wonderful because I've seen it before, having taught it twice. So I'll be doing that. The effect of popular film on society and vice versa. There's a course that we taught by Charles McDermott, who is the musicologist of the New West Symphony down the street from there. Well, actually, here, now I think of it. And that'll be on January 19th. It'll be on Charles Ives and American classical music. We're having a course on diversity and law. That is what the Supreme Court has done with regard to emphasizing diversity in the workplace and diversity at schools. A course on Odysseus, the Greek legend, from Homer on to James Joyce and others, so it's a literature course. A course on language differences in males and females. Okay, are there? Now, obviously, since the last 2 hours, the answer is yes, because if the answer were no, you'd be out of there in 5 minutes and roaring for your money back. A survey of bluegrass music, And finally, and there's one more that I haven't picked yet, and one on American heroism and celebrity status, particularly what the new media age starting in 1980 did for celebrity in the country. You can bring your autographed pictures of Britney Spears and so on to there. I'm not saying she'll put in an appearance or not, but that's what it's about. Now, bottom line, cost. The cost of the Saturday classes is that since that's a kind of open menu sort of thing, you can take as many as you want, or even all. It's $10 per class, which is incredible. That's less than whatchamacallit wage, minimum wage, right? $5 an hour. Okay. Or if you take all 8 classes, it's $65, which is less than, probably about what they pay at Walmart prices. But you're getting not getting Walmart quality in these courses. I can tell you, Jim can tell you he took some of them. Very entertaining and high quality, and the courses fill up. We had the room only holds 40, and last spring for our smorgasbord then. We averaged 37 a class. Now, if 40 is the upper, you can imagine they were all pretty much filled. And so the trick is to enroll early. I will have flyers, which I hope, I'll give it to Mel and Jim at one of the meetings. I don't have the flyers yet. And I will be distributing flyers at one of the concerts of the new Symphony. But tell people about it. And the sooner people enroll, the better, because we were turning people away last spring. Now, of our courses that we're going to have on campus, and again, it's not difficult for people to get there from, the furthest I think we have people come from is Calabasas and Santa Paula and Ojai. But it's not at all hard. You can even take back roads if you don't like if you're afraid that it might snow on the Conejo Pass and you won't be able to get up or something. But it's not hard, and you don't have to park on campus for the ridiculous $6 a day that they charge. But you can park at the train station in Camarillo. It's very easy to get to the university. But that's 4 days a week. It's at the university, 1 day in Ventura, at the senior center there, 1 night at the senior center in Simi Valley, and the rest are on campus. Let's see, I already spoke about the courses for next semester. The spring semester, jumping ahead, begins the first week of April and runs till the end of May. Now, what does membership get people? Membership is, for any one session, the fee is $125. And that enables one to enroll in, right now, an unlimited number of courses. As membership grows, we may have to start limiting the number of courses. The average Osher Institute around the country limits membership to 2 to 3 courses. We have unlimited membership, but we're going to have establish a limit probably by the spring. So it's $125 for unlimited number of courses right now, or it may be maximum of 3 courses later on. If you buy a year's membership, which entitles you to all three sessions of membership, it's $300, saving of $75. If a person takes a course only off campus, but only one course, we have a special membership fee for that too. So, for example, if we're teaching a regular course, not the smorgasbord, but if we're teaching a regular course in Thousand Oaks on Saturdays, and you took only that, it would be $65. Or if you take one of the courses in Ventura, $65, or one course in Ojai, when we have one there, $65. Okay. Membership entitles one not only to taking the class, but it also we also have other benefits, such as putting people on our email list so that they're told about every event on campus The campus does have many speakers and so on, which sometimes get in the newspaper and sometimes don't. But we tell our people about all of them, and our people are invited. You can use the library on campus as a member. For an extra fee, one can buy gym privileges on the campus. What else? Oh, and very importantly, members get to enroll early in the following semester. Before the catalogs are sent out to people in general to register, we inform members in their classes about the next semester, and they can register by phone even before these are sent out, which is very useful because classes do fill up. We have limits on the number of people in each class. Also, we have travel sorts of things. We have short trips that people take. For example, those taking the LACMA course will get a private guided tour of their Impressionism collection as part of the course. We have people who have taken marine biology courses who have had private tours on Channel Islands, looking at tide pools and things that people look at when they're doing that. We are going to have, possibly have on Saturdays, actually on Friday afternoons is what I'm looking at, this coming session, a biology course taught by several different biologists, which includes a lot of field botany and so on trips. We have had longer trips. We've had 2 OLLI tours thus far. One to Italy, Venice, Florence, and so on, and the other one this past summer was a Russian river cruise. And typically when we have these, we also have courses that tie in with it. So we had a course on Russian art before the river cruise. Before the Italian trip, we had a course in conversational Italian. We had courses in Renaissance art, so on and so forth. The history of Italy, so on. So we have that for members too. We're looking into the possibility of next year taking a trip to Vietnam. That's one of the options that people are considering. By being a member, you also have a say in the courses we have, because we always poll members during the semester on potential courses for the following year to find out what kind of interest there is. And we'll only have those courses that members are interested in. So members take an active role in governing the courses. So I would appreciate, I'm leaving the catalogs here if you want to spread them out or, leave them surreptitiously in Gelson's, wherever people go. Of course, they're outdated, but we won't have the new one yet until November. And if you would just tell people about it, it'd be great. But I think more generally, if we're just aware that education, continued education for seniors, not for the usual reasons of employment and improving one's financial lot and all, but just to keep the mind going and to answer questions and ask questions that haven't been asked before. And in a way, it's a lot more fun than doing little puzzles by yourself, because you're sitting there in class, not arguing, but discussing things with the instructor, discussing things with people in your class.
Marty, would you tell us how someone would get your brochures, or how would they register if they're not on your mailing list?
Okay, if not presently on a mailing list, the best bet would be to call. If you tell me now, by the time I get to my car, I'll forget, because memory is not one of my strong suits. But the best bet would be to call the office, which the number is in here, but the number is 805-437-2748. That's the Extended Education Office of the university, obviously during business hours. And just leave your name, mailing address, and if you want to, your email address. The reason for the email address is that it's through email that I tell people we're starting to have enrollment. I always post the courses we're having on our website so that people can actually look at them before they even get this through the mail, and then call up that number and register. So it's good. So it's good to have email to get the notices, important notices like there were these speakers and these events going on in campus. Come if you're interested. They're free and so on. Or enrollments taking place, or other important things like a class has been canceled or something like that.
Do you have a website that people can go to directly if they don't
Yes.
want to call?
Yeah, they can go there. It has all the information. Eventually, they'll have to call or email
Okay.
in order to get on our mailing list. There's no interactive. There's no interactive thing with the where you fill out a form and then it goes over or something like that. The website address is. Get out the pencils, those of you watching on TV. This will take about 10 minutes. It's one of those websites. It's www.csuci.edu/exed. That's through /Osher OSHER .htm. Okay.
Would you repeat the telephone number again?
It's 805-437-2748. And I would advise people if they can get on the mailing list before November because that's when we send out our about early November is when we send out our winter brochures.
Comment and a question, Marty. You at the beginning you mentioned that these are our organizations tend to focus on the needy, those in need, et cetera, which is certainly very important. But someone pointed out a couple of weeks ago at an advisory council meeting that we had for our outreach program that, hey, wait a minute, there are other people who have other needs too, and I think this would fit into that category.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an interesting point. The question is, of the classes that you've held so far, what is the mix of the demography? I mean, is it 60s, 70s, 80s, mixed of all?
Fantastic mix. The age range is from 50, which is our bottom, to 94. And we have several people in the 90s and several in the late 80s and so on who are regulars. I have never actually done a count, between 50 and 60, 60 and 70 and so on. Off the top of my head, I would say no one group predominates. Okay. I don't know how. I've seen things breaking off as below 65, above 65, 70 to 80, and so on and so forth. And I would say if you were to plot this, it would probably be pretty flat. We have a lot of 50-year-olds who are retired and semi-retired, but can get to classes in the daytime. And we have 94-year-olds who attend 3-4 classes and have done it regularly. We had our 94-year-old. There's several others in the 90s, but I happen to know about her because we once did a story on her in our. I forgot to mention we have a newsletter too that goes out electronically through email 4 times a year with important announcements and so on. And one of the things we do in our newsletter is profile one of our members. So we did profile the 94-year-old. That's how I know who she is. She attended a class. She lives in Camarillo. She attended a class in Ojai, which was a night class. So our core people are very, very dedicated. This is very important to them. And I think it's very important to a lot of people who are kind of at loose ends. They just can't play golf all the time or go to senior centers and play chess or whatever one does there. But they want this kind of stimulation. And I think we've been ignoring them. Interestingly, commercially, there seems to be an important a group because we have that university village, what's it called? University Village has gone up, expressly pushing that and saying, active adults, come here and so on. If you get sicker, well, you just move over to the next building where we have assisted living. But that's becoming very big, and in fact, I'm working up a relationship with them whereby possibly in the spring we may have a class there. on the grounds. And we'll certainly have them come down to our Thousand Oaks class on Saturday mornings.
I have a couple of comments, Marty.
Yeah.
My husband has been a member of your group since the very beginning, and I want to thank you for that because it keeps him busy.
Is he listening to this?
I don't know, but he just loves it. And I just hear so many wonderful comments about the programs, the professors, and how intellectually stimulating the classes are. And I actually had the opportunity to go into one last week with him, and I would say the same thing. But also, I run a stroke support group, and I've passed out your information to that group previously. And I have several people that are in the stroke support group that take your classes now and have taken your series here in Thousand Oaks. And I'm glad to hear you're going to offer that again. But everyone that I talk to has wonderful things to say about the program. So I just wanted to mention that.
Eventually, that's going to, word of mouth is going to be our main. Let me tell you a little bit about.
The other thing I want to mention is that, yes, you can drive there and take the bus, but if people have limitations, physical limitations, the buses are handicap accessible. So that was one thing that I really looked at. And so if somebody does have some physical limitations, they can still get back and forth to the class, and it's only $1 each way for the bus.
50 cents.
Or 50 cents,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, $1
Well, you have to
round
convince them you're over 60 or 65 or something like that.
it's $1
but
round trip.
These are
Yeah.
19-year-old drivers, and anyone over 40 looks 60 to them. So
Yeah, okay.
the secret's out. Yeah, Jerry Cam has been there since the beginning. He's taken many classes, always very active. And in fact, I believe he was the first person profiled in a story in our Islander. I won't tell you why we picked him. And after that story, he only served 3 months probation. I should mention another, and some people consider this to be I'm sorry I didn't bring it with me. Some people consider this to be one of the best benefits of joining, and that is everybody who joins gets our Ollie book bag, which they carry proudly, and they carry around campus so that people will know they're not a sophomore or something like that. They didn't know otherwise. But that's also one of our big things. I mentioned about word of mouth, that in fact that's going to be, come next year, that's going to be our only means of publicity, of getting new students, because we've been advertising till now. We advertise regularly in the programs of the New West Symphony and so on. We have advertised in the Acorn and Happenings and lots of other places. But next year, our revenue is decreased somewhat, because next year we are eligible for and probably will get an endowment from the Osher Foundation, which is what's been supporting us so far. But unfortunately, endowments are such that you live only off the proceeds of the endowment, which is conservatively estimated at about half of what we've been getting from them. And so we're going to have to cut corners beginning next year. And one corner we're cutting is no more advertising, no more paid advertising. Instead, I'm going to kidnap Betty Berry and not release her until she writes about us in a column. Things like that. That doesn't cost anything, except maybe a couple of years of my life in jail. And come to groups such as yours and so on, which doesn't cost anything, but no more paid ads. It's going to have to be word of mouth. Now, to do that, of course, we have to make our members happy, and I think we've been doing that.
Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea of, in a given semester, if you add up all your classes and count heads, what kind of volume are you talking about?
Well, there are two volumes. One is number of people, number of actual real-life people in a given semester. And this semester, it is about 260, something like that. In any given year, now remember, not everybody comes to all 3 sessions. In fact, the average person comes to maybe 2 because people travel, so on. We will reach the point in January of having 500 members each year. It doesn't mean all 500 come in any one session. Closer to 300 will be coming in every one session. Now, we normally offer 12 to 14 classes, okay? But the average person takes 2.5 classes. How a person takes a half class, I don't know. Or maybe it's a half a person taking a full class, I don't know. But the average person takes 2.5 classes. And so we wound up this semester rather, with an average of 44 people per class, which is a little higher than I'd like. No class is larger than 60 because that's the size of the room. We never will go more than 60 because you really lose a lot in quality when you do that. Classes range from low 20s up to 60, with an average of 44 people in each class. The average will probably go down if we institute a limit on number of classes, because we do have people take 5, 6, 7 classes, which is a lot. Now, there's no official homework, no papers to write and so on. People can do so if they want to. Instructors will sometimes say, why don't you read this and so on and all that, and they find more than half the class does. Why don't you go online and look at stuff that's on some web page and so on. Most people do that, but they don't have to. Yeah.
What's the length of time that most classes are held? 2 hours or?
They're all 2 hours.
And even the Saturday smorgasbord?
Yeah.
2 hours each?
Each one is 2 hours.
What time do the Saturday classes start?
10 to 12. Runs
Thank
from
you.
10 to 12.
Great.
Yeah. We do classes occasionally go 3 hours if it's a class that involves, for example, a class on film. Like the first one that we ever had taught, which was in January, last January, in Thousand Oaks, was a course on law and film. It was, that is, how the law has been betrayed. I was thinking of a general there. How the law has been portrayed in movies, and how that squares against real life. It was taught by a person who's both a linguist and a lawyer, and so she occasionally want to show films, but she didn't want to take an entire 2-hour class to show the film. She wanted a discussion, she wanted a lecture, and so on. So those classes went an hour later. People voluntarily stayed after 12 to see the film itself. We have a class this coming semester that's going to be on film noir, films of the 40s and 50s, that detective, that sort of thing. And so he wants to show some films, and so what we're going to do is the class will officially be from 10 to 12, but after his first meeting, he will see if the class will voluntarily come at 9 to watch a film, and then have the class. I suspect everyone will. So occasionally we run 3 hours, but usually almost always 2 hours. Some classes have a field trip associated with them. For example, this was cute. We had somebody from the economics department at Cal State teach a course on the modern American zoo. It was not a zoological course. It was a course on how the zoos are run and the businesses of it and the intrigues and how they get their animals and so on and so forth. And people loved the course. So it met actually for 4 class sessions of 2 hours. And then he arranged a private tour of the of the Santa Barbara Zoo, with the zoo master, whatever they call those people, the head zoo person, leading it. So then he asked me, he said, well, do you think we should tell people to bring their sandwiches, or we can have them have a barbecue for us? And I said, barbecue at a zoo? What are you going to do? Zebra? take a spare zebra and barbecue? What, anyhow, they did have a barbecue. I didn't ask them what they barbecued, but there were field trips like that too. The people who are taking the distance learning course, the TV course from LACMA, will then go on a tour out there. We had a course on Russian art, and then we took a tour of the Getty when they had their icon exhibit. Things like that.
I have two questions for you that are unrelated. First of all, other than polling your students or your members, how do you determine what courses you're going to provide? And the second unrelated one is this transportation issue. I'm not familiar with this 50-cent ride. Tell me about that.
Let me take the easier one first, the transportation issue. The university has is part of the Vista bus system. It runs a bus to the university from several places. In Oxnard, they run from behind the Center Point Mall on C Street, and they also run from, I forget where, one of the other malls, and that goes to the campus. And so, for example, somebody in Oxnard, if they can get to the Center Point Mall, doesn't have to take a car, can just take that bus. There is also a Vista bus that runs, a shuttle bus that runs every half hour, and it takes about less than 10-minute trip. Runs every half hour from the Metrolink station on Lewis Road in Camarillo, just actually almost straddling the 101. Parking there is free, and there's always plenty of parking there for some reason. So the bus runs every half hour on the half hour. So, for example, people have a 10 o'clock class, they get there at 9:30, and they're at the class at 22, which gives them time to schmooze and drink coffee and so on. And the bus stops there. It's $1 each way or 50 cents for seniors. And
seniors, anyone over 50? Is that?
Well, for them, I think it's either 60 or 62 or something like that. But as I said, these are usually college kids that drive the buses, and they don't know. Just give them 50 cents and walk to the back, and they're not going to stop you. Otherwise, parking on campus is $6 per day.
And the police are pretty tough.
They have nothing else to do on the campus. There's only 2,500 students.
I know.
But surprisingly, parking is tight. Now, I've been at several my career was at universities, and I've been at several universities visiting and so on and so forth. And this is the best parking situation I've ever seen. People complain because they can't park in the lot right next to the building. They park in a lot that's maybe 3 blocks away. 3 blocks. I mean, most people at universities would die for that spot. But still, it's expensive. There are cheaper ways of driving. There's some people who, I guess maybe they were born in California. Maybe that's one of the things that does it. They won't get out of their cars. They have to drive there no matter what, even if they have to circle around a little bit for parking space. Now, when there are, by the way, a lot of handicap spaces there, particularly a lot that's all handicap spaces right behind the building where we have our classes. Okay. There are other things one can do, too. For example, one can buy a student pass parking permit, which costs $145 per university semester. But a university semester is the 16-week semester. So it would be the $145 for the 16 weeks that we meet from January through May, which would be a bargain. It's a bargain if you're taking more than 2 classes. Or at the middle of October, when we're through, they can turn it back and get a refund on half of it. So it's really $72.50. So they're paying $9 a week instead of $6 per session. And there are people who do that. A lot of people do that. They just prefer. There are no meters. There are meters that they're all set to last 1 hour. Mm-hmm. And our classes are 2 hours, so that doesn't work. So I try to discourage people from parking because I don't want to see the university get that $6. I think that's obscene. Oh, I hope the president's watching. But I do encourage that parking. There are ways, and some people from Ventura have found ways, that Ventura, if you take this bus to here and this bus to there, it gets you there too. And I don't know the exact way, but one can take a bus all the way from Ventura, and I suspect there's a way of connecting on buses that'll get to that train station too, from Thousand Oaks. I don't know.
How about the course offerings? How do you determine those?
Okay. I've been doing it now for 4 years, and I'm just about finishing for the fall, and I can't tell you a specific rate. It's pure luck. Now we've had since we've begun, we have had 100 and some courses. We've had 44 different instructors. Now that word about us is getting out, people are contacting us and saying we want to do this course or that course, and so on and so forth. We have a core of people that have been teaching fairly regularly. One example would be Charles McDermott, who's taught just about every semester except our first. First I'll talk to them about the course, what it is they want to teach. We have a policy of not having a same or similar course within a two-year cycle, so we have a lot of variety. We don't repeat a course. If somebody says I want to teach a course, we say, well, somebody taught a course on American musical theater. We had that about a year ago by somebody else. Let's think about it next year. We like to have variety. We like to have variety in types, so we always have one or more science courses, several social science courses, literature, music, art, and so on. We try to have that each semester. So when a person contacts me and says they'd like to teach a course, or I contact one of the people who's taught before and twist their arm a bit about teaching, we talk about the course. I try to figure out, is it high quality and intellective enough to do? So if people want to teach, for example, a course in how to act, I try to turn that a how-to course. Well, community colleges have such courses. Do you have one, though, can you teach one on the history of acting, on the different venues of acting? So we had, for example, Joseph Fuqua, who's one of the mainstays of the Rubicon Theater. He's part of their repertoire company. He taught a course for us on acting, but on the profession of acting, what it takes to get into it, the history of it, the different types, the differences between film, television, stage, within stage, between Broadway, road companies, regional theater, and so on. People love the course. So I find out what kind of course they, whether it would fit the sorts of things we do, or whether it's something that isn't high quality enough or would not, would be better off at a community college. When we decide on that, the person sends me a formal proposal, which consists of the sort of description that you see in here of courses, as well as a resume, as well as letters of reference if they haven't taught for us before, and also a larger outline of the course. All of those are then submitted to a committee of members of OLLI. Okay, so this is a volunteer committee. I call it the curriculum committee, and these people look it over. In effect, they're putting their input into, would it be interesting to people? Is the sort of thing we think that OLLI members would like? Okay. When it passes them, when it passes my scrutiny, it passes their scrutiny, we then take all courses described by these 120-word descriptions, all potential courses that have been offered, that have been proposed, and present them to the students, usually in their last or next to last week of classes. So it's everybody who's taking classes then. And we ask them, aside from where it's going to be taught and time of day and so on, because some people can't take a course on Tuesday afternoons, that sort of thing. But would you take this? This is interesting enough to take. And we only offer those courses that look like they'll get enough interest. There's more to it, though, than that, and that is in fact, this is the week we're doing it. Each semester we also go to the students in classes and give them a questionnaire evaluating the course and the instructor. Only the good survive. We simply don't, if somebody does not get good ratings, and we also ask them for specifics of what this person did and so on, positive and negative comments and all that. And if a person didn't do a good job, they're not invited back. Over the semesters from our first session that we ran back in fall of 2004, to now, gradually, our average rating of classes has increased practically each semester, simply because we're weeding out people who are not doing a great job, and so on. So now, on a 5-point scale, the average is 4.7, which, coming from a university, that is incredible.
I think we've had a very good informative session, and we appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you.
And I hope that the people listening and the council are inspired by your talk and will take classes with Osher.
And send people too. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And now moving on to committee reports. Healthcare. Do we have any report for healthcare?
I have just a couple of reminders that I'd like to remind our listeners, and that is, one is I'd like to mention again to our listeners out there that Senior Concerns is still running the shuttle from the Caneo from Senior Concerns for Kaiser to Kaiser in Woodland Hills, and it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please take advantage of this. It's only $10 for a round trip from Senior Concerns to Kaiser on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The other thing I'd like to mention is that for the caregivers that are out there, there is a telephone support group for anyone who is out there caring for somebody in their home and they just feel somewhat isolated, or they would like to talk with someone on the telephone. And it's on the third Friday of each month at 1 o'clock. And it's run by a therapist, and you can dial in and join in any discussion. There will be others on the phone that are also caregivers. The telephone support group is for family members or friends caring for persons with any type of cognitive impairment or neurological disorders, and you need to call and pre-register. The telephone number is 1-800-443-1236, extension 14. When you make that call, you will receive a toll-free number for the support group to call. All newcomers are welcome, and it's on the third Friday of each month at 1 o'clock. And it's someone who will be on the other end of the line that could help you and answer some of your questions, along with other caregivers that will be on that telephone conference call. So I just wanted to remind people that that is out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Well, I'd like to add to the shuttle from Senior Concerns to Woodland Hills that runs twice a day, I think once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And if you have a problem getting to Senior Concerns to take the shuttle, you're always welcome to use Dollar Ride. They will get you there in time if you call at least 1 hour before you need to be there. And now we move on to housing. Tom DeCosti is our chair. Tom, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. And most important, I want to point out to everyone that's listening, there is a meeting that's going to be held, a forum, on October the 17th at 1 p.m. at the Goebel Center. And I want you to put that down on your calendar, not just for yourself, but for others. Any senior, any boomer, anybody that has an interest in affordable housing should really be at this forum. It's a most important forum. The people who will be there, by the way, are experts. We have assembled a number of experts for this forum. Included on the panel are Russ Watson. He's the Housing Development Manager for the City of Thousand Oaks. Doug Tapking, who is the Director of the Area Housing Authority. Rick Schrader, who's the Director of Many Mansions. And Kathy Rudnicki, who is of Ventura County Homeless Coalition. So please come and bring all of your questions with you. Note that many people who think they have affordable housing now and believe they have it in the future, statistics are telling us that many people out there have homes that they did refinancing on and the like, and in the near future, they may not have the same income given their retirement and the outlook for the future, and people are living longer. So affordable housing is going to be an absolutely essential ingredient in their plan for retirement. I hope you all will come. Thanks.
Tom, would you give us the time on that, please?
That's October the 17th. That's a Wednesday at 1 p.m., and that's at the Senior Global Center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Has anybody got anything to add to that? Okay. Programs and public information. Jim, would you give us a report?
Yes. Next month we're going to have June Glassmeyer, who is a representative of the California Senior Legislature, and she is going to be bringing us up to date on all the pending legislation at the state level and how it affects seniors in our area. So be sure to watch that. That'll be the first Wednesday of November. I'm not sure of that date. Is that the 7th? November 7th. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Next we come to outreach. Now, outreach committee has been very active, and Mel Silverberg will bring us up to date on the committee's actions. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Harry. I'll say a few words, and then the others, members of the commission who wish to add, I would appreciate they would please comment also, in case I've left something out of this important item that they'd like to add. The Council on Aging Advisory Outreach Committee convened its first meeting with the Senior Adult Master Plan Advisory Committee at the Goebel Center on Wednesday, September 19th. There were about 25 people attended for the presentation on the goals, the strategy, and the timeline for the master plan, and we were looking for their input into our strategy and how they might participate in it. There was an informative interactive question and answer period which followed, and the advisory committee was asked to comment on a draft survey that we will use for developing the master plan and the needs assessment along with the advisory committee. The next meeting of the advisory committee will be held at the Goebel Center at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 17th. In fact, the third Wednesday of every month, there will be after our regular Council on Aging workshop meeting at 3 p.m., the third Wednesday of every month, we will hold the regular advisory committee meetings. If you are a stakeholder in the Thousand Oaks Senior Master Plan, and by that I mean someone who would be impacted by our master plan, such as a senior, baby boomer, service provider, anyone who will have an interest in this, please join us on October 17th. And if you want more information on the advisory committee, please call 449-2743. Those of you in our viewing audience, please be on the lookout for our senior surveys so you can tell us what your needs are and what you want the future senior community to look like. Surveys will be available shortly at the Goebel Center, the Thousand Oaks Library branches, many senior establishments, and at our website, toaks.org/senior survey. The Outreach Committee has conducted its second on-site outreach yesterday, and for that, I'd like to turn to Commissioner Jim Searden, and then after Jim, I would appreciate if anyone else would like to comment. Jim?
Thank you, Mel. Yes, we met with a group that called themselves the Greatest Generation, and they were a lively group. And first off, I'd like to do a little shout out to Bill and Bea and Sylvia and Sam and all the wonderful people we met over there yesterday who took such very good care of us and made us feel so very welcome. It was a pretty good turnout. There were over 50 people. They had to add a table, which was very heartening. And I think the presentation went very well. They were active and they asked a lot of questions. And we got how many surveys returned, Francine? I'm sorry? 57. Wow. That's just absolutely outstanding. And I suspicion we're going to get a few people that are want to get interested in the advisory council as well. Overall, a great success. We're looking forward to our next one. If you have a group out there that you think would benefit from having a group of us Council on Aging people come out and tell you about the goods and services that are available in the community and how you can help, please give us a call. We'd be happy to put you on the list. It went very, very well. Jean was also there and participated in the question and answer period. Jean, would you like to make a comment?
Only that the comment that we're hearing most often is certainly related to transportation, and it's something that we've spent a great deal of time on, and we can certainly address ourselves to that with, I think, even greater fervor than we've ever done before.
Are there any more comments on outreach? All right. Senior year is not up yet, so we'll skip that one and move on to transportation. Cliff, I think, would you have a report for us?
Yeah, I have a couple of things that I want to mention today. The first one is a follow-up on what Tony was talking about before with the shuttle from the Senior Concerns place on Hodenkamp down to Kaiser. The program manager indicates that the people that use this shuttle are extremely satisfied with it, and she says they are 100% happy. Unfortunately, the demand for this service has not been met with people actually using the service. Before the service was implemented, there was a great demand from people for this type of service to get down the Kaiser. To date, the number of actual riders is significantly less than people expected it to be. This is currently being funded under a 3-year federal grant and must eventually become self-sufficient. And unless people begin to use this service on a more regular basis, I suspect we're going to have trouble achieving that self-sufficiency. So if you were one of those people who had a desire to use this service and for whatever your reasons are not using that service, I encourage you to reconsider. If there's something that's stopping you, I would urge you to contact the people at Senior Concerns and let them know what your issues are. Harry mentioned one possible one, and that is the need to get from your home down to the Senior Concerns place on Hodenkamp. And if that is a concern, perhaps something can be done to alleviate that issue. But you have to let people know that that exists. The second thing I want to draw your attention to is an article that was in the Ventura County Star on October 1st, and it was on page A3 talking about California motorists could face more extensive license tests. You heard earlier that Betty Berry is going to have a seminar about will you pass your next driver's test. Apparently the Department of Motor Vehicles has been evaluating a system of testing that is significantly more extensive to renew licenses. They claim it's not oriented or aimed at seniors, but clearly it is, because what they're looking for is to evaluate a driver's memory, reflexes, and vision to identify people who shouldn't be behind the wheel. And for those people who have not read this article, let me just indicate a few of the things that it talks to in here. The first tests for obvious physical limitations, such as being unable to walk to the counter unaided. Another exam is a new eye test in which the chart's letters fade from black to very light gray or white background, which could show that a driver might not easily see a white truck in a fog or a dark car parked in the shade. A third test requires motorists to write down their Social Security numbers by memory or their zip codes if they don't have the former. A failure of any of these tests could result in another exam to test reflexes, where motorists are asked to sit in front of a touchscreen computer and a silhouette of a car or a truck flashes on the screen for less than half a second. The driver is then asked to press a button on the computer screen asking if the car or truck was seen. If you fail any of these tests and there's a progression of failures or passing, you might be required to take a road test. So, beware, this is likely coming. The DMV did not release the results of their surveys or their trial runs up in Northern California, and this does have to be approved by the legislature. But if you have some concerns, perhaps you want to contact your legislator and talk to them about it. And that's all I have on transportation.
Thank you, Cliff. In addition, the article, I think, said that the rules could not be adopted earlier than the year 2012, so you've got a little leeway to get caught up on your deficiencies, hopefully. Okay, legislation. Martin.
Thank you, Harry. Well, the governor signed SB 611, which allows judges to freeze the assets of those accused of stealing from seniors. So it improves the chances for seniors to recover their lost property. Now, a bill that's important to seniors who live in mobile home parks is AB 1542. Current law allows the owner of a mobile home park to convert it into a condominium. And when he does that, when he sells the first lot of all of those, all of the other lots come off local rent control laws. Now, state law does limit rent increases for low-income seniors, but all others can have their rents increased to market values over a 4-year period. Now, AB 1542 eliminates this loophole in the current law. It passed the Assembly and the Senate, and it's waiting for the governor's approval or veto. Park owners are pressuring him to veto it. Mobile homeowners are asking him to approve it. He has, I think, till October 16th to make up his mind. Thanks, Harry.
Okay, but you're up next for fraud again.
Okay, last year, you may recall, hackers got into the computers of the parent company of TJ Maxx and Marshalls and stole information on 40 million credit card and debit card owners. The state passed AB 779 in response to this and similar events over the past year. It makes retailers responsible for securing their customers' personal data. It would allow banks and credit card companies to sue the retailers for their cost of, closing accounts and reissuing new accounts and new numbers. Retailers and large business groups are lobbying the governor to veto the bill, while banks and credit card companies want him to approve it. Once again, he has to decide by October 16th. And that one, I have no idea which way it's going to go.
Thank you, Martin. I'd still like to repeat what Larry Logan said at our last meeting, and that is to protect yourself against fraud. The first rule is if it's too good to be true, it usually is, and the second rule is to remember the first. Moving on again, disaster emergency preparedness. Is that you, Cliff?
Yes, I have nothing new on that today.
Okay, then we'll move on to the liaison, and I'll turn the meeting over to Gene.
Liaison reports on Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, AAA. There were 5 of us, I believe, that attended that meeting. Jim, I wonder if you could give us a brief kind of explanation of what was covered there, please.
Yes, we got a pretty good feel from some of the other councils on aging as to how they are going about their version of outreach. And one of the more intriguing ideas that came out from one of the other councils, when they are, in the sense that they are also trying to form an advisory committee to help them solve problems. We brainstormed on that back and forth and compared their version of that with ours, and I think we picked up some pretty good ideas. on how we might want to go after this particular goal. These sessions are just incredibly valuable because all of us are out there every day trying to make things just a little bit better, and we all do it a little bit different ways, so we can pick each other's brains and help each other. When we get back together with our next workshop, we'll have some more information that we want to, that I at least want to propose to the council that we might consider. And these are just ideas that we got from the COA summit. But there were several of us there. Anybody else have any input or thoughts about what came down there?
Please do, Mel.
Yeah, thank you, Gene. Yeah, I would add to what the important information that Jim mentioned, that we spent considerable time around the table dealing with the same problem that we all have, namely trying to understand something about the baby boomers. What are they like, and how should we be trying to reach out to them, and things like that. And every venue, every city that was represented at this quarterly meeting of the that had been set up by the advisory by Ventura County Area Agency on Aging had the same problem. Fortunately, one of the women attending the meeting said, "I'm a baby boomer, okay, and let me tell you what I think." And the feedback we got from her was valuable. There was, and I think that we look forward in the future, at future meetings, to enlarge on that discussion to deal with an area that, frankly, we're all breaking new ground on.
Thank you, Mel. Just one other comment about that. I think that the lady who addressed the group was saying to everyone, we are trying to learn from the baby boomers about what they really want, and the baby boomers are hard to get to, that we need to spend more effort in terms of asking them, what's happening with you today, and how are you looking forward to the future? And I think it should give us some guidance in terms of where we need to be looking in terms of our questionnaires and our outreach program.
Gene, I'd like to comment on that further. From this woman, I believe her name was Eileen Gold, who said she was a baby boomer, she said that, why don't we ask the baby boomers what they want or what they need? And because our surveys are based on what this generation thinks is our important issues, but they are not necessarily those of the baby boomers. So I think our questionnaires, surveys should be revised to find out what they want and what their issues are.
In fact, we did get that feedback, and that was passed on to our city advisor, and I believe we've reconstructed the survey to do just that. In other words, to get it away from the mold that we're used to and into another area that opens up, that invites that kind of input. So that suggestion was a very important one, and it's the kind of thing that we're looking for as we develop the outreach program. We're kind of learning as we go along, and as soon as we get something that has impact, we're trying to immediately inject it into the program.
Thank you. Marty Shentis, would you bring us up to date, please, in terms of the RSVP program?
Okay. Well, interesting thing about volunteering. Turns out there's a definite health benefit. A study of 2,000 individuals over 55 found that those who volunteered for 2 or more organizations for over 100 hours a year had a 44% lower likelihood of dying. This is better than exercising 4 times a week. They were only 30%. The only activity with a higher effect on mortality is to stop smoking. Here's something you might want to look into. Our schools are looking for volunteers, and Rsvp is holding a back-to-school meeting at the Global Center on Thursday, October 11th at 10 a.m. And both current and future volunteers will be there, so here's an opportunity to learn what you can do. The Rsvp Boutique Holiday Sale takes place October 29th through November the 2nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Global Center. And be sure to check out their greeting card selection. For 50 cents, you get a card that looks pretty much like one you get at your local store. Thanks.
Thank you, Marty. And for the Global Senior Center report, may I call on Andrea Koval?
Well, good afternoon. I just kind of want to piggyback the outreach program because that was one of my goals to do outreach so people can learn about the Global Senior Adult Center. And since you had similar goals, we've been piggybacking, so I thoroughly enjoy doing that. And so anybody who's out there, if you want to learn more about the Global Center for your business or or your homeowners association or a Rotary Club or anything like that, go ahead and give the Council on Aging a phone call or the Global Senior Adult Center, either way, and we can try and set something up for you. A couple other fun things. As far as fundraising, a lot of people don't know that we do this, but in our senior nutrition, our marquee cafe for lunch, we do accept anybody's Albertsons receipts, and those get turned in, and we get points, and then we go ahead and we get some fundraising money from that. Also, with Global Senior Adult Center, we've partnered with Ralph's, and so we have forms right at the front counter, so any of you who shop at Ralph's, whatever you use, whether it's your phone number or card number, you can link that up, and so we get money back to the Global Senior Adult Commission on a quarterly basis. So that's really an easy ways to fundraise and help our programs. And of course, we always accept general donations. So if you want to write a check or give cash to help support all our different programs, since most of our classes and things are volunteer, so it does help out. Some things that are coming up this month, which is some fun stuff and some other good things. Flu and pneumonia immunizations this Saturday, October 6th. So this Saturday from 9 to 3. So 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's first come, first serve. We won't run out. I'm guaranteed that. So don't worry about that. You don't need to line up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get in at 9. So just come as your leisure. And if you have Medicare Part B, Aetna, or Secure Horizons, that'll be covered. If you don't have either of those three, and you can't get into your doctor, anybody else is $30 for the shot. And the pneumonia, it's Medicare Part B. There'd be no charge. All others, $40 for that. And you were talking about passing your next driving test, which is October 16th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. with Betty Berry. And you must have a seat reservation for that, and I think we're getting pretty close to full. And at the end, I'll give you the center's phone number. Also, there's a housing forum coming up October 17th. So we will have guest speakers from many mansions, Area Housing Authority, Ventura County Homeless and Housing Coalition, and City Housing Manager. And that's all presented by you guys. So again, we do need to call in for seating reservations so we don't run out of room. 5th annual table tennis. Anybody who plays ping pong, table tennis, we've got a tournament coming up October 24th. It's $16, but that includes your morning snack, basically coffee and cookies and some bagels, lunch, and medals for those who place first, second, and third in the different age categories. And we would like you to register before October 20th. Ghoulish Greens. Okay, we're getting ready for the end of October. We have our wonderful salad bar. So working with Council on Aging and Senior Concerns and Francine's hard work, and we were able to secure a salad bar. And the Global Senior Center Commission also gave some funds as a donation towards that. So we're premiering it on Friday, October 26th. And we've got 3 seating reservations, which will be at 11, 12 noon, and 1 p.m. You'll need to call in for those seating reservations. So it'll be fun, and it's also a Halloween hat, so we can dress up and have a little fun with a hat or whatever. It'll be a fun time. We do have an out and about program. It's an excursion program, but people go ahead and take themselves there or carpool. So we don't do a bus, but we provide lower cost fees for certain things. We're going to do 7 brides for 7 brothers. That's November 1st, and it'll be here at the Civic Arts Plaza. And the parking will be free, and the tickets are $20 per person, and you can get those at the Global Senior Adult Center. And since the holidays are just coming up around the corner, not too far away, I know this is in November, but Saturday, November 10th, we're doing our Holiday Craft Bazaar. So anybody who does all handmade items of some sort, if you're out there and you want to display and sell, go ahead and come on into Global Senior Adult Center. We have a form, or you can call in and we'll mail one to you. And for those of you who don't do that kind of thing, but you want to stop on by for an hour or two and browse and look at some really neat and unique items, November 10th, that'll be from 9:30 to 2. And the phone number for any of the good stuff at Global Senior Adult Center is 805-381-2744. The ghoulish greens, though, you've got 2 numbers to make your reservation, which is slightly different than Global Senior Adult Center because it's the nutrition phone number and also a city phone number. So you can call in on either 805-449-2743 or the nutrition number 805-381-2746. So those are all the good things that are coming up in October. And excursions. We've got a lot of things coming up. So Friday, October 12th, starting, of course, at 9, second Friday of every month is our excursion registration for the trips that are coming up in the next 2 to 4 months. So we will be having Candlelight Pavilion, The Wonderful World of Christmas, Newport Harbor Boat Parade. We will be going to the Crystal Cathedral for the Glory of Christmas, and the Rockettes performing at the Arts Center. So we've got a lot of good fun things coming up. So any of those excursions or trips that you think you might be interested in, come in on Friday, October 12th and get registered. Is there any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
This thing at Ralph's. Tell
Yes.
me how I do that. I go into Ralph's and I do what to get
You just have to
credit for
grocery
this?
shop.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I can do that real easily.
We do have, it's like a half-sheet form that's at the Global Senior Adult Center. Has Ralph's. You put your name, I think your address, and then whatever your, say, Ralph's club card number is, and you take that slip into Ralph's, and they will link up your club card number to the Global Senior Adult Center.
Take it to the customer service place? Is that it?
Or,
Okay.
yeah, and they'll,
Good,
they'll
thank you.
just go ahead and link you up, and the more you shop, the more money we get back.
What about Vons? Do they do that too?
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Vons does that. Now, Albertsons is receipts. So if you bring in Albertsons receipts to the nutrition program, and there's a can in there, or a box, in our in the dining room. So Albertsons receipts for the nutrition program, and link up your Ralph's Club card to Global Senior Adult Center.
Thank you, Andy. It seems that the Global Senior Adult Center has an awful lot of things going on, and there should be something there for everybody. So
There is.
go
Get a
go
newsletter.
visit the Global Senior Center and see for yourself and sign up for some of these things. And now we come to old business. Do we have any old business before this commission? New business? I guess not. So before
Well, I'd like to mention this thing. I don't know if it's new business. but-
you bring it up under announcements right now.
Okay. Right now, okay. This week, Saturday evening, the Ombudsman Country Western Hoedown Barbecue Fundraiser is going to be held at the Davis Estate, 6441 La Cumbre Road in Somas, California. This is a fundraiser for the Ombudsman Office, and I'm sure most of you understand what the long-term care Ombudsman people do. They are advocates for residents of long-term care facilities, including residential care facilities and skilled nursing facilities. I'm going to be here, and as a matter of fact, my wife has been busy buying things on eBay so she can go in a Western costume for this thing. But there's great food, great band, great cause. There's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be a regular auction, and you can order tickets. They're $75 in advance. Cash, check, MasterCard, or Visa is accepted. And the number to call is 805-656-1986, or you can email cburnett, B-U-R-N-E-T-T, at ombudsmanventura.org. The Ombudsman fight for the rights and needs of all elderly persons living in long-term care facilities. It's a great thing for you to support if you have time to do that. It says enjoy a sizzling barbecue dinner and dance your boots off to kick stompin' live music. So there, 4 to 8 p.m. at the Davis Estate, 6441 La Combre Road, Somas. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. And before our concluding remarks, I'd like to insert in our program something I would like to call milestones. And this is where we announce weddings, anniversaries, whatever, of people in our audience. And for today's milestones, I'd like to announce the anniversary of our own Mel and his wife Norma's 55th wedding anniversary on October 19th. Now that's a milestone. Also, I'd like to announce the 64-year anniversary of Joe and Shirley Litvak, and also the 43-year anniversary of Evelyn and David Rose. Anybody else have any announcement they'd like to make at this time? If not, I'll make some closing remarks, and we hope you enjoyed our program today. We hope you will take advantage of the timely seminars Betty Berry told you about. They are a concern to all seniors and boomers. The talk by Dr. Kaplan was inspiring, and for myself, I'm going to have to make time available to take one or more of these courses, but I have a problem. I've never learned how to say no. Please join us on Wednesday, October 17th at the Global Center for the Forum on Affordable Housing. This is a one-time program with no reruns, so please join us and learn about the future of affordable housing in Thousand Oaks. Thank you all, and the meeting is adjourned.